If you have visited first time on this channel, so please like, share, and subscribe. Listen and repeat after me. Chapter 1: The Pond. Every day, I go to the pond. I love visiting the pond. The water is always calm. I like to watch the water. The pond is so peaceful. I feel happy near the water. The pond is my special place. I visit it every evening. The pond is surrounded by trees. The trees are tall and green. They sway in the wind. The wind is gentle and cool. I hear the leaves rustling. The sound is soothing to me. I sit by the pond every day. I dip my toes in the water. The water feels cool on my feet. I watch the ripples in the water. The ripples spread slowly. I like to watch them move. The pond is like a mirror. It reflects the sky and trees. I see my reflection in it. The reflection looks peaceful too. I spend hours at the pond. The time passes quickly there. I think about many things. I dream about adventures too. The pond helps me think. It's my favorite place to be. I often wonder about the pond. What secrets does it hold? Are there fish in the pond? Maybe frogs live there too. But I never see them. I only see the water. The water is always calm. It's like a secret world. A world just for me. The pond feels like home. I visit it every day. I never miss a day. I love the pond so much. But one day, something changed. Something very special happened. It was a day I'll never forget. It started like any other day. But it ended with a surprise. Chapter 2: The Fish. I went to the pond as usual. The evening was cool and quiet. The sun was setting slowly. I sat on my favorite rock. I dipped my toes in the water. The water was cool as always. I watched the ripples form. But then, I saw something different. Something moved in the water. I looked closer at the water. There was a small splash. A fish appeared near the shore. I had never seen a fish there. She was small and shiny. Her scales glowed in the light. She swam gracefully in the pond. I watched her in amazement. She was the most beautiful fish. Her movements were so smooth. I couldn't take my eyes off her. I wondered where she came from. Had she always been there? Or did she just arrive today? I watched her swim closer. She swam near the edge. I reached out my hand. Would she come closer to me? To my surprise, she did. She swam right up to me. She nuzzled my hand gently. Her touch was soft and warm. It felt like she was saying hello. I smiled at the little fish. I talked to her softly. I told her she was beautiful. She seemed to understand me. She swam around my hand. I laughed with happiness. I had found a new friend. I didn't want to leave her. I wanted to take her home. But I had nothing to carry her. I looked around for something. I found a small container. I carefully scooped her up. She didn't seem scared at all. It felt like she trusted me. I was so happy to have her. I walked home with the fish. I was careful not to spill. The fish swam calmly inside. She seemed happy with me. I couldn't wait to show her. I had an aquarium at home. It was empty and ready. Now, I had a fish for it. I couldn't wait to see her there. I hurried home with excitement. I wanted her to be safe. She was my new best friend. I already loved her so much. I couldn't wait to play with her. She would have a nice home. I felt so happy and proud. I had a fish of my own. Chapter 3: The Aquarium. I arrived home with the fish. I went straight to the aquarium. The aquarium was big and clean. It had rocks and plants inside. I carefully poured the fish in. She swam out happily. She explored her new home. She swam around the rocks. She moved through the plants. She looked so happy there. I watched her with a smile. She was perfect in the aquarium. She swam gracefully inside. I named her Shiny. Her scales were bright and shiny. The name suited her well. Shiny was my new friend. I loved watching her swim. She seemed to love her new home. I felt so proud of myself. I had brought her home safely. Now, she was safe and happy. I spent the whole evening with her. I played music for her. She swam in rhythm to the music. I talked to her about my day. She listened quietly to me. It felt good to have a friend. Even though she couldn't talk back. I felt like she understood me. Even though she couldn't talk back. I felt like she understood me. She would swim close to the glass. It was like she was listening. Even though she couldn't talk back. I felt like she understood me. I felt a deep connection to her. It was like we were meant to be. I couldn't wait to see her tomorrow. Before going to bed, I said good night. She swam to the top of the tank. It felt like she was saying good night too. I went to bed feeling happy. I dreamed about Shiny all night. I couldn't wait for the morning. I wanted to play with her again. I knew we would have fun together. She was my new best friend. I fell asleep with a smile. I was so happy to have her. But the next day brought a surprise. A surprise I wasn't ready for. Chapter 4: The Disappearance. I woke up early the next day. I was excited to see Shiny. I ran to the aquarium quickly. But when I looked inside, Shiny was nowhere to be seen. I blinked and looked again. But she was still not there. I felt my heart drop suddenly. Where could she have gone? I searched the whole aquarium. I looked behind every rock. I checked around every plant. But Shiny was nowhere to be found. I felt a wave of panic. I checked the floor around. Maybe she jumped out? But the floor was dry. There was no fish anywhere. I checked under the furniture. I looked behind the curtains. But there was no sign of Shiny. I started to feel really scared. Where could she have gone? I didn't understand at all. I felt tears in my eyes. I missed her so much already. She was just here last night. We were so happy together. How could she disappear? I couldn't believe she was gone. I kept looking around the room. I checked every corner and spot. But there was no fish anywhere. I started to cry softly. I couldn't hold back the tears. Shiny was my friend. And now she was gone. I didn't know what to do. I felt so lost without her. I wished I could find her. I missed her so much. I decided to search the house. Maybe someone took her? I asked my family about her. But no one had seen Shiny. They looked at me confused. How could a fish just vanish? But I knew Shiny was real. I had seen her with my eyes. I had brought her home myself. I wasn't imagining things. I needed to find her soon. I couldn't give up now. I decided to search outside. Maybe she was out there. I couldn't let her be lost. I had to bring her back. Chapter 5: The Search. I started searching outside. I checked the backyard first. I looked in the grass carefully. Maybe she was hiding there? But there was no sign of her. I checked under the bushes too. But still, no Shiny was found. I felt so worried now. Where could she have gone? I decided to check the pond. Maybe she had returned there? I hurried to the pond quickly. But the pond was empty. The water was calm and still. There was no fish inside. I felt even more lost now. I didn't know where to look. I started to ask my neighbors. Maybe someone had seen her? I knocked on the first door. A kind lady answered the door. I explained my situation to her. She listened carefully to me. But she shook her head sadly. She hadn't seen any fish around. I thanked her and moved on. I knocked on the next door. I asked the same question again. But the answer was the same. No one had seen Shiny. I went to the next house. I knocked on every door. But no one knew about her. I started to feel hopeless. It seemed like she was gone. I missed her so much already. I felt like giving up. But I couldn't stop now. I had to keep searching. I had to find my friend. I decided to check one more house. It was the last house on the street. I knocked on the door slowly. A little girl opened the door. She looked at me with big eyes. I asked her about my fish. I described Shiny to her. The girl listened carefully. Then, she smiled at me. She said she had seen a fish. My heart skipped a beat. Could it really be Shiny? I asked her where she saw it. She pointed to her house. She said it was in her aquarium. My eyes widened in surprise. I asked if I could see it. She nodded and led me inside. We walked to her room quietly. There, in a small aquarium, I saw her. Shiny was swimming inside. I felt a wave of relief. I had found my friend. But I was also confused. How did Shiny get here? I asked the girl about it. She said she found Shiny outside. She thought the fish was lost. So, she brought her home. I explained that Shiny was mine. I told her how much I missed her. The girl looked sad for a moment. She hadn't meant to take her. She just wanted to help. I could see she cared for Shiny. I didn't want to make her sad. I told her she could keep Shiny. The girl's face lit up with joy. She thanked me with a big smile. I knew Shiny would be happy here. The girl promised to take good care of her. I felt a mix of emotions. I was sad to say goodbye. But I was also happy for Shiny. She had found a new friend. I told the girl to visit me anytime. We could both play with Shiny. The girl agreed happily. I said goodbye to Shiny softly. She swam close to the glass. It felt like she was saying goodbye too. I left the house feeling lighter. I knew Shiny was in good hands. She would be happy in her new home. I smiled to myself as I walked home. I had lost a friend but gained a new one. The girl and I would be friends now. And I could still visit Shiny. Everything worked out in the end. I felt peaceful as I walked. The evening sun was setting. The sky was a beautiful orange. I thought about the pond. I would still visit it every day. Maybe I would find another friend. But Shiny would always be special. She was my first fish friend. And I would never forget her. As I walked, I felt grateful. Life was full of surprises. And I had learned something important. Sometimes we have to let go. But that doesn't mean it's the end. New beginnings can be beautiful too. I felt happy and content. I looked forward to tomorrow. I would visit the pond again. Maybe I would see Shiny with the girl. Maybe we would have new adventures. But for now, I was at peace. I walked home with a smile. The day had been full of emotions. But it ended on a good note. And that's what mattered the most. I went to bed that night feeling happy. I dreamed of Shiny swimming happily in her new home with her new friend. And I knew everything would be okay. The next day, I woke up early. I felt a sense of excitement. Today was a new day. A day for new adventures. I got dressed quickly. I couldn't wait to visit the pond. I hurried outside with a smile. The sun was shining brightly. The air was fresh and cool. It was a perfect day for exploring. I walked to the pond quickly. The pond looked beautiful as always. The water was calm and clear. I sat on my favorite rock. I dipped my toes in the water. The water felt cool and refreshing. I watched the ripples spread slowly. I thought about Shiny again. I hoped she was happy in her new home. I knew the girl would take good care of her. I felt a sense of peace. I knew everything was okay. I spent hours at the pond that day. I watched the water and the sky. I thought about life and its surprises. And I felt grateful for everything. As the sun began to set, I said goodbye to the pond. I promised to visit again tomorrow. I walked home feeling happy. Life was full of beautiful moments. And I was ready for whatever came next. I knew that each day was a new adventure. And I couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. The pond would always be my special place. A place of peace and reflection. A place where I could think and dream. A place where I found my friend, Shiny. And a place where I would always find new beginnings. I felt grateful for everything I had. And I knew that life was full of endless possibilities. I smiled as I walked home. The day had been perfect. And I knew that tomorrow would be even better.